Liberation of Undermine story mode, we're going to get into that. A few changes in 11.1 just before it goes live, and then Ian's interview with Vice Gaming. We'll talk a little bit about that, see some of the things he said in terms of how WoW has survived as long as it has, and then a final check at the DPS rankings here at the end of Season 1 to see where things are going to rank out in Season 2. Here we go. Oh, what is this, a fucking ad? No, it's me sponsoring myself with the Iron Sky Reaver. That's right, this mount was discontinued in 2023, and I'm bringing it back for a big giveaway, the Undermine giveaway. That's right, all you got to do is tune into my stream for 1 hour. 1 hour. I'm live Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. Eastern Time. If you watch 1 hour of my shitty stream, you will get 1 point to enter to the giveaway for the Iron Sky Reaver. This giveaway ends on March 7th, so make sure you're in here, get your 1 point, put up with my shitty face and my shitty voice, and you can get yourself the discontinued Iron Sky Reaver mount. Worth it if you ask me. Liberation of Undermine story mode for all you people who want to do the story mode. This is a version of the raid where there are basically no mechanics. You just go through it, one-shot all the bosses, and see the story for what it is. This will go live on March 11th. That's right. So that's 2 weeks after the patch goes live. I fucking left blurps on. Shit. All right. Yeah, we'll go ahead and pause those and continue forward here. As I was saying, Liberation of Undermine, March 11th, that's 2 weeks after the patch goes live. That's 1 week after the raid opens for everybody else on normal, heroic, and mythic difficulty, so those will be a thing. Getting in there, do it story mode, I guess, is a solo version. You can get Enchanted Rune Undermine Crest from completing the quests and stuff like that, so there are rewards to be had in terms of that, but other than that, you will not get any rewards from this. It is simply a way for you to live out the story because you have no friends to raid with. Besides that, Season 2 of Mythic Plus hotfixes in for Priory of the Sacred Flame. They decreased the amount of mobs you need to kill in this thing because they increased the amount of points that you get from every mob here. So again, every change that we've been seeing in Mythic Plus for Season 2 is about making Season 2 easier than Season 1. Hopefully that comes to fruition here. We have a fun-filled season where barrier to entry isn't too high, and the end game is fun enough for people who actually want a challenge out of this thing. Preservation Evokers might be more viable, at least in the Flame Shaper rework here. So if you haven't played Flame Shaper, you might want to try it out. Basically, the comments here are the class writers and their experts' opinions based on the rigorous testing and theory crafting here. They want the Flame Shaper playstyle to be more competitive in dungeon content. So there's a bunch of changes here looking at the upcoming changes. They want to be more effective in dungeon content. Emerald Blossom also got a key mechanical change to make it effective in a wider range of builds. This is the latest on the 11.1 revamp here. So again, Evokers out there, if you little scaly boys want to try out a new version of Flame Shaper, you'll be able to do that and see if it's in fact more viable or not. Now the important piece of content today, the Vice interview with Ian Hazzikostas. Ian Hazzikostas, game director of WoW, did a little interview here where he talks about what has made World of Warcraft so special over 20 years, besides the fact that it has siphoned 20 years of my life away. That's right, I started playing this game, my God, when I was freaking 15 years old. 15 years old, I'm now 34 years old. Unbelievable. I completely degenerated my life away, but many of us have, and here are the reasons why. Ian Hazzikostas on this, on the evolving state of World of Warcraft. Constant innovation. Flexibly listening to our community. Yeah, that's only happened more recently, and evolving with them. If we were the same game we were 20 years ago, I don't think we would still be around in the same form today. I mean, tell that to the classic Andes. I think they prefer the game 20 years ago. But anyways, yes, at least since Shadowlands, they've been listening more to the player base. I agree with that. Iterating on the game in ways that have made the game better for the players. And yes, there have been mistakes along the way, you know, hiccups here and there. Season 1 of the War Within Mythic Plus, okay, shitstorm, whatever it is. You know, broken patches and things like that. These things have happened. But recently, I feel like Blizzard has at least been trying to listen to the player base and give us what we want. And that's why I think Season 2 and 11.1 is going to be that much better than Season 1 was in 11.0 at the launch. So looking forward to that. Hopefully it is as good as it's playing out to be, at least. Early WoW and its cozy game status. Ian commented on this. He said, I would argue there have been cozy elements to it from the very beginning. For many people back in 2004 or 2005, it was the most immersive chat room the internet had ever seen for a generation that had spent time in AOL chat rooms or on IRC or ICQ if you were a real geek. This was a virtual graphical world. Voice chat tools were starting to come online and come into favor. I can't count how many times I would log into World of Warcraft without a particular goal, but rather just to socialize. I will say, this immersive chat room part of it, when I started playing WoW, I just said when I was like 15 years old, computers were, becoming a thing. They were a thing, but it was still like not, hyperly popular to have your own PC at home, right? A lot of families still didn't. My family did, but I used to type like this. I had my typing class in middle school. I was learning how to type. I literally learned how to type because of chatting in WoW. That was literally how I learned how to type because, you couldn't look down. I'd be running Scarlet Monastery and shit, and I'd have to type quickly because I wasn't in a chat room or anything like that. And typing, yes, on World of Warcraft is literally how I learned to type without looking. That was how I learned how to play. Besides that, voice chats and stuff, yes, of course, I got into... There was no Discord back then, but definitely Ventrilo, TeamSpeak. I had my fair share of that. You guys even remember when WoW tried to put their own voice chat to the game? That was a shit show for a little while. But yes, good times to be had. Certainly, it was a cozy game, and I did this a lot of times. Logging into the game with no goal was certainly something that I did. What a loser having a typing class. It was required in my middle school. We had computers, and it was literally required. We used to play a game where, like, these asteroids would come at you, and you had to type the words quickly to blast the asteroids. Yeah, I mean, it was a thing, guys, back then. We're talking about, what is this, like 2005, okay? This was, computers were still hitting the mainstream back then. On from the cozy game stuff, Ian Hazakostas said, some are just about carving out our identity in the world, filling out your collections and making your character look at like the expression of who you want. That's part of the magic of World of Warcraft, that it can be so many different things to so many people. Yeah, he's talking about like transmog hunters and stuff. Yeah, that is part of the game, of course. You guys see me all the time on stream chasing mounts, chasing transmogs. It's certainly become a big part of the game and has helped the game stay alive for as long as it has. The iconic art style, for sure. The art style of World of Warcraft is timeless. In fact, you go back and look at classic WoW, people still playing it. Honestly, the game still doesn't look bad. It's the hyper detail of World of Warcraft along with the art style that has really allowed it to survive over time. And not only that, you look at the art style, it's made the game very accessible to a lot of people, right? Back when this game came out, a lot of people just had fucking integrated graphics cards on their Intel processors. And one thing about WoW was it never had a high system requirement. You can get into WoW and play this thing on a toaster. Now, yes, of course, now it requires more, but now PCs are just so much more powerful. You can really still play this thing on anything. I played this on my family's Gateway PC. Again, Intel integrated graphics card for a long time. Never had a dedicated gaming PC until really about 4 or 5 years later when I started to do my own shit with PCs. But yeah, it was a good time to play this game, and it was an easy-to-play game. My iMac could barely play it. I mean, the thing is, though, it did play it. So there you go. You were at least able to play. I wish Samiccus would stop talking about the past and talking more about relevant things like how he's going to do these time-walking raids with the community. We're going to do it. We're going to get this shit done today. Accessibility of WoW. This really goes into what I was just talking about. Traditionally, MMOs have a lot of depth in gameplay and story and can be quite difficult to get into for new players. Yet WoW has found a way to succeed where others have struggled in this endeavor. What he's really saying is WoW was always the noob man's MMO. That's the truth. Before WoW came out, MMOs were always considered to be like a very hardcore, nerdified version of gaming. Amikins coming with a Prime sub. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. 17 months. Oh my God. As I was saying, a very newbie MMO. For many people, it was their first MMO. It popped their MMO cherry. That's what it was for me. I had never played an MMO before this game. And people will tell you, the most popular MMOs back then were like EverQuest and shit. Much more hardcore, much more punishing in terms of what an MMO was. When World of Warcraft came out, it was the mainstream MMO. The layman's man MMO, the working man's MMO. And that's really made it popular because, yes, it made it much more accessible to a broader range of people that had never dabbled in the MMO genre before. And till this day, I would still say it's probably the most accessible MMO that is in existence right now. A lot of people will talk about other ones, but I still think jumping into WoW, as janky as it can be now with all this extra shit and bloat and stuff like that, it's still the most accessible MMO out there. The cultural phenomenon. Talks about the culture of WoW here. I think as fun as the South Park episode was, oh man, Make Love Not Warcraft, that was a great one. And it really was because it kind of captured the essence of jumping into Azeroth and chasing your goals there, particularly at the moment in time. However, the Ibline documentary, oh, this is the kid with muscular Duchenne's, yeah, that's right, shines a light on the part of the game that all those other media representations haven't necessarily captured, and that is just the extent to which it fosters human connection and that sense of belonging, that sense of place and meaning it offered over the years. Now, I will say, yes, that this is true. I generated many relationships from this game for sure. Some of those relationships were generated with female night elves and giving them gold and things like that inside of inns, but other relationships were more in depth. Beyond that, I met a lot of people in this game, a lot of people that I never met in real life, just played the game with, had a good time with, and guilds over the years that I've been part of, certainly chatting with people on Ventrilo through the night and stuff like that. A lot of good things, and honestly, even my real life friends, the ones who I really stuck by through high school and beyond, were all WoW players. We all had that one thing in common, that we all played this game, and many of us, some of us became doctors, lawyers, you know, whatever it is, some unsuccessful, some successful. A lot of them still play this game to this day, and I don't know what it is about it, but it just always feels like home. That's the truth. Sam, hate to tell you this now, but female night elves was more likely a guy. Oh, trust me. Trust me, I understand that. But we're talking about 15-year-old Sam, who would have done anything for a little bit of a dance. Ian has a Costas here on Horde versus Alliance at the very end of this interview. They asked him to pick. He said, I hate to disappoint. I am on the 4 Azeroth side of the eternal war between red versus blue. I'm not going to pick a side. That would be unwise. When asked for his go-to favorite character, he said, I've played a number of characters, but I think the one closest to my heart is definitely the very first character I made back in 2004, before I worked for Blizzard, an Orc Shaman. That still feels like my WoW character. So there you go, a nice little wrap up to the interview here. Yes, WoW has withstood the test of time, certainly. It's one of the only games out there still with a sub fee and things. Like, it is literally a time capsule, this game. And yet it continues to push forward. They continue to innovate on it. And yes, a lot of that has to do with now listening to player feedback and stuff, the art style, the social aspect of the game. WoW is a game that a lot of people have played for a long time, and hopefully will continue to for a long time going forward. Insensitive, man. Moving on to the final DPS charts of Season 1. That's right. So this is really what we're going to look at here, is where the classes currently stand, because this is all going to change when 11.1 goes live. So here it is, 11.0 final season wrap up. Here are the changes. I mean, here are the final standings. Overall damage, Shaman, Hunter, Rogue. I've been saying this for like over a month now. Those are the classes that really stood out this entire time. Elemental Shaman, Enhancement Shaman, Marksmanship Hunter, Ass Rogue, Survival Hunter, Sub-Titty Rogue, and Outlaw Rogue, all standing up here. You can play any spec of any of these classes, and you're essentially very viable for this season, at least this entire season. Mage sitting in the middle, along with Warlock, some mix-ins there. Arms Warrior made some changes here. Furry Warrior is getting a ton of changes going forward, so that's a big thing for them. I'm looking towards the bottom here. Death Knights towards the bottom, but honestly, in AoE damage, they weren't bad. Single target, not too bad either. I've seen some people pump with the Death Knight. Again, player skill matters at the end of the day more than these charts do. Feral Druid getting a ton of changes going forward. They got a little bit of a boost. They were at the bottom for a while, got a boost towards the end of this patch cycle. And then last here, damage to bosses. This is how Raid plays out. You can see here, Ass Rogue sitting at the top, Marksmanship Hunter right behind him there, Elemental Shaman, Survival Hunter, Sub-Titty Rogue, Enhancement Shaman, Beast Mastery Hunter, also known as Bestiality Hunter. So again, just basically a reshuffling of the Hunter, Rogue, Shaman classes, basically. That's what you got up here at the top. Feral Druid, again, took a big jump at the very end, and I believe they're going to continue to be pushed up here in the next season as well. Mage sitting in the middle again. Paladin not doing too bad in terms of Retribution, single target damage. Unholy doing better here than Frost for Death Knights. Warlocks, mediocre at best for this season. Destruction Warlock, the best of the three. And then at the very bottom here, Furry Warrior can do absolutely no single target damage, but as I said, they are getting some big buffs, as well as Arms. Arms Warrior is getting buffed out the ass, so we'll see how all that plays out in Season 2. Final standings here, the big movers up and down. There really are no movers here at the end of the season. Everything's settled into the current charts that we're looking at, and we see basically the biggest mover up at the very end here was Retribution Paladin, up 3 spots. Biggest mover down, Arms Warrior, down 3. When this chart comes out, for the first week of Season 1. We will review it. You're going to see I'm talking like 20 space movers up and down here. We'll review it all, go through it all, see where everybody stands to kick off the season. And of course, there'll be iterations on that throughout the season that we'll catch up on every time they're released. But that is all for now in terms of news.